I'm Zach, and I'm building sports betting tools at BtrBet. I'm a college basketball aficionado, and I've been doing this video series of some of my college basketball action, and let's get into it today. Yesterday was not a great day. In my video yesterday, I shared 6 bets that I had out. 2 of those won, 4 lost. Overall yesterday, I went 15 winning bets and 20 losing bets. Not great. 15 for 35 overall. It was a total loss of $141 yesterday. That brings my college basketball season's total profits down to $438.69. Not too shabby for 3 days so far, but still not what I wanted in yesterday. It is kind of interesting to me, as always, to look at my performance by market. And if you look at the dates that those bets closed on, the spread, my spread bets were way off yesterday. So there's that. Live and learn. Call it variance, call it what you will. It was a down day, but 1 down day in 3 is not so bad. Today, we're going to talk about Central Arkansas Bears at the Utah Running Utes. I've talked about Central Arkansas before. I had a bet on them yesterday. On the first day of the season, Monday, when they played BYU. I had them at plus 33.5 against BYU. They ended up losing that game 88-50. But, despite a pretty big loss and not covering a really big spread, the Bears did shoot 33.9% from the field and 22.6% from 3. And like 38.5% from the foul line. So they had a good game, a decent game maybe, but played against a really good BYU team. Utah State was on the opposite side of an opening day blowout. Utah State won 100-59 over Alcorn State. I did lose my spread bet on that game also because I had Alcorn State at plus 24, but I cashed an over in that game, so go me. So far, though, in their first season as part of the Big 12, and again, this is a sample size of 1 game for Utah State, they've averaged 56.1% from the field, 50% from 3, and 68% from the foul line. This is a team that can put up some pretty serious points, especially with the pace that they play at. So I am on the over because I think that the Running Utes are going to run away with this game. I'm on the over here at 149.5. And I'm also still somewhat confident in Central Arkansas to cover at a 28.5 point underdog. We'll see. The Bears burnt me on Monday, but I think they'll play a good game today. Let's also talk about Prairie View A&M Panthers at DePaul Blue Demons. The Panthers shot 62.1% from the field, 40.9% on three-pointers, and 69% on free throws in their first game of the season. In the second half of their first game, they put up 64 points and a half, which is impressive. In their first game of the season, which they also won, the DePaul Blue Demons only scored 30 points in the second half of that game, and they actually needed overtime to win, and they won by 2 in overtime. I think they got maybe 6 points in overtime, and their opponent got 4. So I'm on the under here because while these teams can put up some impressive halves if they need to, or at least one of them can, it's going to be a slower game, and DePaul just doesn't produce points like the Prairie View Panthers do. But I also think that Prairie View can cover a 17-point spread because their games against unranked opponents tend to be higher scoring games. I know that sounds maybe a little odd being on the under, but also taking Prairie View as an underdog here and saying, against unranked opponents, their teams score higher. I'll just caveat that with my number for what this should be was a fair amount lower than this. My model came up with something in like the low 140s. So this is a good bet from my model's perspective. We'll see how that plays out. Let's see, anything else to say about these two teams? Don't think so. I'm on the under and Prairie View at plus 17 as a underdog. The third game I want to talk about today is Charleston Southern Buccaneers at North Florida Ospreys. The Buccaneers lost their season opener to Clemson 91-64. The Ospreys ought to be a much easier opponent for them than Clemson was, and I'm fairly confident that the Buccaneers can cover a 7.5-point underdog. This is at a really good price at ESPN Bet. ESPN sometimes hangs lines that are a fair amount different than everyone else. I don't know why, but I like to take advantage of them when I can. I had this game from my model at a slightly larger point spread, or a slightly smaller point spread, actually. I think my model spit out 4.5, 5.5, something like that. So when the spread gets bigger than that, you flip to take the underdog. So I'm on Southern at plus 7.5. I'm also on the over at 148. And the rationale for that is that the Ospreys shot 42% from the field and 34.5% from three in their first game. They put up 43 points in the second half against their season opener against South Carolina and ended up overcoming a 5-point deficit at halftime to win by 3. South Carolina looked like a good team too, so it wasn't like the Ospreys were, going up against, I don't know, a high school team or anything like that. I kind of think that this game ought to be a breather game for both teams. The Ospreys shouldn't need to work as hard as they did against South Carolina, but it doesn't mean that they can take it easy. Charleston Southern needs to just find its footing, and hopefully they can do that against an easier opponent. Although I will throw out a fun tidbit. Charleston Southern has lost their last 8 games against A-Sun teams, so we'll see. But I'm on the over. I like that, and I like Charleston Southern as a 7.5-point underdog. As always, I've got a lot more college basketball action out right now, and you can always see all of my pending action on my BtrBet profile and all my past performance metrics and all of that. If you want to use BtrBet to streamline your own betting, you can use the code NCAABB24 to get 1 month of BtrBet for free. And after that, it's only $4.99 a month. Here's to betting better.